Have you ever walked into a home that felt alive? Not because of music or people, but because of the silence. The kind of silence that cradles you. The kind of clean that doesn't shout, disinfected, but gently whispers, "You are safe here." I remember stepping barefoot into a Japanese home for the first time. No shoes, no clutter, just soft light on polished wood. And in the entryway, a woman in her 70s, kneeling, wiping the floor not like it was dirty, but like it mattered. That moment changed something in me, because in Japan, cleaning isn't just a chore. It's a ritual, a prayer, a quiet promise between you and the place you call home. So in this video, we're not just learning how to clean. We're rediscovering how to live, with intention, with gratitude, and with peace. Come with me. Let's step into a way of life that's quieter, simpler, and maybe, just maybe, what we've been missing all along. She didn't say a word. She just kept wiping, slow, steady strokes along the wooden entryway. Her knees pressed gently to the floor, her hands moving with a kind of rhythm I'd never seen before. Not rushed, not tired, just present. I stood there, shoes in hand, unsure if I was interrupting something sacred. And in a way, I was. This was my first visit to a traditional Japanese home, tucked in a quiet alley in Kyoto, the kind of place that looks ordinary from the outside, but feels like a breath of stillness once you step in. No television noise, no cluttered countertops, just a clean, quiet, intentional space, and a woman in her 70s treating her doorway as if it were a friend. I watched her for a moment too long, and she finally looked up, smiled, and said, "This is how I greet the day. Not with coffee, not with a scroll through headlines, but with a cloth and a quiet heart." That moment stayed with me, because growing up I'd always associated cleaning with stress. Saturday mornings with a loud vacuum, the smell of lemon-scented chemicals, and a list taped to the fridge. Dust the blinds, scrub the sink, mop the floors. It was always about catching up, about fixing the mess that had already happened. But this was different. This woman wasn't cleaning up. She was welcoming in. There was no resentment in her movements, no urgency, just care for the space, for herself, for the day ahead. And it made me wonder, what if we've misunderstood cleaning all along? What if it isn't about perfection or even cleanliness? What if it's about presence? That morning changed the way I looked at my own home. But more than that, it opened the door to something deeper, something spiritual. Because in Japan, the act of cleaning isn't just physical, it's philosophical, it's cultural, it's sacred. And to truly understand it, we need to start at the root. Let's explore how two ancient belief systems, Shinto and Buddhism, have shaped Japan's quiet obsession with cleanliness. Before Japan had vacuums or vinegar sprays, it had something else, a belief, a quiet reverence for the spaces people inhabited, so deep, so ancient. It became part of their spiritual DNA. In Shintoism, Japan's indigenous belief system, everything has a spirit. Not just people or animals, but rivers, rocks, trees, and yes, even houses. They call these spirits kami. And to live well, you don't dominate your space. You honor it. Imagine that. Imagine cleaning not to make something look better, but to show gratitude to the spirit that lives there. You wipe down the table not because it's dirty, but because it has fed your family. You sweep the floor not because guests are coming, but because the floor holds your steps. In this view, cleanliness becomes something sacred. It's not an obligation, it's a relationship. Shinto shrines are famously pristine, not because they hire staff to scrub them daily, but because purity is central to worship. You don't just arrive, you purify your hands, your mouth, your energy. That same mindset echoes in Japanese homes. But Shinto isn't the only influence. Buddhism arrived in Japan centuries later and brought with it another layer of depth. To Buddhist monks, cleaning is a spiritual discipline. They sweep temple paths not to chase leaves, but to clear the ego. They scrub floors not to impress visitors, but to still the mind. Every wipe, every sweep, every quiet action is a way of coming home to the present moment. No wonder Japanese school children clean their classrooms. Not as punishment, as practice. They learn that to clean is to care. That service isn't something you grow out of, it's something you grow into. And suddenly, that woman wiping her doorway, that man sweeping leaves before sunrise, that child scrubbing a chalkboard after class. They're not doing chores. They're practicing mindfulness, reverence, gratitude. And what's most beautiful? None of this is flashy. No grand gestures, no praise expected, just quiet acts of respect, repeated daily, until they become identity. So the next time you reach for a cloth or broom, pause for a second. You're not just cleaning, you're connecting with your space, your moment, and maybe even something greater. Now let's step from philosophy into practice, because behind every sacred ritual, there's a tool, and in Japan, even the tools tell a story. It was just a rag, or so I thought, until the mother of my host family in Osaka handed it to me with a smile and said, "This one is for the fridge handle only." Just the handle, not the fridge door, not the countertop, just that one part. I blinked. In my home, we used one cloth for everything, maybe two if we were feeling fancy, but in her kitchen, every tool had a name, a purpose, a place. She didn't own the latest gadgets, no high-tech mop or automatic spray bottle, just a few humble items, chosen with care, used with respect. There was the ultra-soft microfiber cloth, reserved only for mirrors and glass, not a streak in sight, not a scratch left behind. The medium weave cloth, used for stovetops and counters, tough enough for oil but still gentle. And the electronics cloth, fine, delicate, designed to lift dust from laptop fans and television vents like a whisper. Then there was the two-bucket system, one for soapy water, one for rinse water. At first, it felt old-fashioned. Why not just use a mop and call it done? But as she moved through the kitchen, switching cloths, refreshing water, she said something that stuck with me. Don't put dirt back where you've just cleaned. Simple, brilliant, true. How often do we drag the same dirty mop across the entire house, thinking we're making things better? But she wasn't just cleaning surfaces, she was protecting them. Preserving their integrity. Because in Japan, cleaning isn't just about removing filth, it's about honoring what you own. And that brings us to the most unassuming hero of them all, the scrubbing brush. No handle, no battery, just a compact palm-sized brush, often made from natural fibers like coconut husk or hemp. It fits right in your hand and gets into corners most modern tools ignore. Behind the faucet, under cabinet handles, between tile grooves. It doesn't beep, it doesn't light up. It just works, quietly, efficiently, beautifully. And it makes you think. Maybe the problem isn't that we lack the tools. Maybe it's that we've stopped treating them with care. In this culture, a cleaning tool isn't disposable. It's relational. You choose it, you clean it, you store it mindfully. You don't just throw it under the sink and forget it exists. And something shifts when you live that way. Your tools become extensions of your hand. Your hand becomes an extension of your attention. And your attention, that's where peace begins. Because when every cloth has a name and every brush has a role, cleaning stops being chaos and becomes choreography. But even more powerful than the tools themselves is the way they're used. Let's step into one of Japan's quietest, most transformative habits, a discipline so gentle, so invisible, it might just change the way you move through your day. Have you ever cooked a full dinner, only to realize after the last bite that your kitchen looks like a small tornado passed through, pots piled high, counters sticky, the sink, a war zone? Now picture this. You're cooking with a Japanese grandmother, the kind with silver hair tied back in a bun, apron spotless, movements graceful. She slices vegetables, then wipes the counter, stirs a pot, then rinses the spoon, turns off the stove, then folds the towel. By the time dinner is served, the kitchen is already clean. No mess, no rush, no sigh of dread after the meal. It's not magic, it's mindset. In Japan, there's a quiet cultural principle, owari wa hajimari. The end is the beginning. It means that as you finish one task, you prepare for the next. Cleaning is not something you do later. It's something you weave in. They clean as they go. Take a shower, they towel dry the walls before stepping out. Brush their teeth, they wipe the sink before putting down the toothbrush. Even office workers take 2 minutes every hour to tidy their desks, not because they're told to, but because clarity isn't just visual, it's mental. This discipline isn't loud. You won't see it on cleaning reality shows. There's no dramatic before and after, but it's powerful because it removes the mountain of mess before it ever grows. There's no big clean on Saturday, no guilt-laden Sundays of catching up. Just micro moments of care, threaded gently through the day. What happens when you live this way? You stop seeing cleaning as a punishment and start seeing it as a pause, a soft reset, a way to return to yourself. Your home becomes lighter, not just physically, but emotionally. And the best part? It becomes effortless, like brushing your hair, like locking the door behind you. It just happens. And once this habit takes root, something surprising occurs. You begin to need fewer tools. In fact, many Japanese households don't buy dozens of products for every surface. They reach for what's already in the pantry. Let's open a bottle of vinegar, cut a lemon, sprinkle some baking soda, and rediscover the quiet power of natural cleaning. She didn't wear gloves. There were no warning labels. No chemical scent that stung the nose, just a lemon, a splash of vinegar, and a soft smile as she worked. I was staying in a small village near Nara, and the grandmother who hosted me cleaned her entire home, floors, counters, even the bathroom, with what looked like ingredients for a salad. I watched, confused. No spray bottles, no store-bought miracle cleaners. She laughed gently and said, "If you wouldn't put it on your skin, why would you put it on your floor?" That one sentence. It shifted something inside me, because somewhere along the way we've been taught that clean means harsh, that you need strong smells, blue liquids, and long words we can't pronounce to kill invisible enemies. But in Japan, there's another way. A way that's kind, a way that's simple, a way that works. Let's start with vinegar. Diluted with water, it becomes a glass cleaner that leaves no streaks. Used in the bathroom, it dissolves soap scum. In the laundry, it softens clothes and removes odors. No synthetic perfumes needed. Then there's baking soda. Mix it into a paste and you've got a scrub for stovetops, sinks, and even stained mugs. Sprinkle it in shoes or trash bins. It devours odor like it's made for it. Because it is. And lemon? Nature's antibacterial, anti-odor, citrus-scented wonder. Rubbed on cutting boards, it lifts stains and leaves a smell that feels like sunshine. Even used green tea leaves have a second life, dried and sprinkled in trash cans or shoe racks to keep things fresh. These aren't just eco-friendly hacks. They're part of a deeper truth. That cleaning should care for your home and the earth. That when you clean, you shouldn't have to hold your breath. But more than that, something beautiful happens when you mix your own cleaner. You slow down, you choose, you participate. You're not just spraying something from a bottle. You're crafting something. By hand, for your home, with love, and that changes the entire experience. What once felt like a task becomes something closer to nourishment. It feels less like scrubbing and more like cooking. A gesture, a gift, safe for your skin. Safe for your kids. Safe for anyone with a nose for peace. So the next time you're tempted by a neon bottle promising 99.9% elimination, ask yourself, what if less chemical meant more calm? And once your counters sparkle with vinegar and your air smells of lemon, you may look around and realize you don't need more space. You just need to fold it better. Let's explore how the Japanese fold, conceal, and transform their homes. Not with more stuff, but with more intention. She opened the drawer, and froze. My American friend had just arrived in Tokyo and was unpacking at her host family's home. She pulled open a low cabinet to find a row of towels, folded so precisely they looked like soft bricks of serenity. She whispered, almost reverently, "It's like origami, but for laundry." And she was right, because in Japan, folding isn't just about tidiness. It's a ritual, a quiet act of care, a way to transform fabric and space into something that breathes calm. Let's start with the now famous KonMari method, made popular by organizing expert Marie Kondo. Clothes aren't stacked in messy towers that collapse the moment you reach for one. They're folded into upright rectangles, compact, aligned, visible. So instead of digging, you glide. You don't stress. You choose. It may seem small, but it changes how you begin each day. Then there are the towels. They're not crumpled into a basket or half folded and stuffed on a shelf. They're rolled, each one the same size, the same shape, like a quiet little army of order, ready to serve. And somehow, seeing them there, lined up, peaceful, makes you feel a bit more peaceful too. But the Japanese art of space goes beyond drawers. It's in the shoji screens, those delicate wooden frames with translucent paper. They don't just divide rooms, they hide clutter. They soften harsh light. They create privacy without building walls. It's flexibility with grace, movement without noise. And then there are sliding doors. They don't swing. They don't bang into furniture. They simply glide, opening a room, closing it, reshaping it, all with a whisper. In a country where homes are often small, these design choices are practical. But they're more than that. They're philosophical. Because space isn't just about square footage. It's about how you feel when you're in it. When drawers open smoothly, when rooms shift effortlessly, when everything has its place and everything rests in place, that's when your mind can rest too. And here's the real magic. When your space is light, your body moves with less tension. Your thoughts slow. Your breath deepens. You become present. And nowhere is this more evident than in the room that asks the most of us, but often receives the least care. The bathroom. Let's step into a Japanese bathroom and discover how a place of routine becomes a sanctuary of renewal. He was in his 70s, a retired engineer, and he was cleaning his television like it was a violin, not with a rag, not with a spray, but with a small air compressor, the kind photographers use to clean camera lenses. He aimed it gently at the speaker holes, the vent slats, the tiny ports along the back. And with each puff of air, dust leapt into the light. Dust I hadn't even noticed. He saw me watching, and with a quiet smile said, "Dust is lazy. If you don't chase it, it hides." That sentence, simple, almost playful, stayed with me. Because in many homes, dusting is a performance. A swipe across the shelf, a flick over the lamp. Done. But in Japan, it's a discipline, a kind of quiet devotion, not for others, not for appearances, but because even the forgotten places deserve respect. Let's talk about the tools. First, the air compressor. Instead of jamming a cloth into tight corners, or worse, ignoring them, a single burst of air removes dust without damage. It preserves, it protects. Then the newspaper trick. Crumple a sheet of old newspaper and wipe down mirrors or glass surfaces. No lint, no streaks, no waste. The slight texture of the paper grabs particles that microfiber can miss. And perhaps the most humble of all, the damp cloth. not soaking, not dry, just perfectly moist. It glides across bookshelves, lacquered wood, and delicate surfaces, lifting dust without sending it into the air. No airborne clouds, no redistribution, just quiet completion. These tools aren't flashy. They don't vibrate or beep or promise miracles. They just work, with grace. But the tools are only part of the story, because what this level of care really reflects is attention. And attention is love in its purest form. You dust the corner behind your TV, not because anyone will see it, but because it's part of your home. And nothing in your home deserves neglect. Neglect, like dust, spreads quietly, but so does care. And when you train your eye to see the unseen, the cobweb near the baseboard, the smudge behind the lamp, you start seeing other things too. You notice your breath, your posture, the way sunlight falls on a clean surface and makes it glow. These details aren't chores. They're chapters in your relationship with your space. And when every corner sparkles, your whole home feels lighter. Your mind feels clearer. And that clarity? It leads us to one last lesson. One that might surprise you, because it's not about dust or floors or even cloths. It's about trash. Let's take a look at how the Japanese approach the most overlooked part of every home and turn it into a daily act of mindfulness. The note was polite, taped carefully to the side of her bin. It read, "Please sort your waste correctly. Thank you for keeping the neighborhood beautiful." My friend had just moved to Tokyo. It was her first week. She hadn't broken a rule maliciously, just forgot to separate plastic from burnables. But the message wasn't angry. It was communal. Because in Japan, even trash is a shared responsibility, and how you treat it says everything about how you live. Every neighborhood follows a precise rhythm. Burnables on Mondays, plastics every other Thursday, cardboard only if flattened and bundled just so. And don't forget, rinse your containers, tie your bag properly, leave it out only after 7 a.m. To a newcomer, it feels like a headache. To a local, it's harmony in action. Because in Japan, waste isn't something shameful. It's something mindful. It's still part of your home until you release it. So you release it with care, and the ripple effects are powerful. Less smell, fewer pests, no chaos. But even deeper than that, it trains the eye. You begin to notice what you consume, what you throw away, what you repeat. It creates accountability, and often, it creates gratitude. You see the packaging, the wrappers, the bags, and you start asking, do I need this? Could I reuse this? Many Japanese homes find beauty in that question. Orange peels to freshen the sink, used tea leaves to deodorize shoes, old towels cut into reusable cloths, nothing wasted, nothing dismissed. Because in the end, cleaning isn't about perfection. It's about participation. It's about becoming a part of the life around you, not overpowering it, but moving with it. Folding a towel isn't just a task. It's a way of saying, thank you for drying me. Sorting your waste isn't just obligation. It's a promise to your neighbors. Cleaning your mirror isn't vanity. It's honoring the reflection of a life well lived. And when you live that way, with intention, with care, with grace, your home changes. But more importantly, you do.